taking out the the ring birth control that they have. And I was like, I know for a fact this is from that because I had a vivid vision of me jumping into the ocean.
I mean, you probably would have just saw some pretty shit down there. So that would have been okay, but don't do it.
This is like a cruise ship. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like
shit. There's a lot of, like a big cruise ship. Not like the...
I'm not talking about a tiny little yacht, honey.
Take that back. Don't jump off.
This is a dramatic story. This is the reaction I was expecting. I mean, she was kind of calm. I was like, okay. So Alicia was late for our meeting the other day. And guess why? She was freezing off her ass fat. And I couldn't believe that she missed a meeting with me by an hour.
Yeah.
What was taking so long?
I guess Persian fat is stubborn.
Shocking.
I don't...
Maybe it's your fat.
Maybe it was the white people fat portion of it. I don't know if it's the Persian or the white people.
Oh, no, it was definitely your Persian fat that was being
Persian
stubborn.
Fat that was stubborn? I don't know.
Okay, so I've never tried fat freezing. Does it work?
So what is it called? Cryotherapy? Yeah. Is that what it's called? Crystal? What is what I did called?
Cold sculpting.
I was like, that's not the right word.
Cryotherapy is when you just freeze your tits off. Okay, you know, cryotherapy is when you get it. Everybody knows what that is. So I'm just wondering, because I have fake boobs, I'm wondering if they're going to be cold.
Inside you?
Yeah.
Cryotherapy?
Yeah.
Have you never done it?
No.
No, it's like 10 minutes in below zero little box. It looks like a tanning thing you stand up in, and it's just, nah.
They're saline. I don't know if they're going to rock hard in there.
You're 3 minutes.
This is dangerous. Dangerous stuff.
Nothing freezes in 3 minutes.
Unless you look at these cold Russian tits.
Okay. Well, yeah. So anyway,
so did it work? Cool sculpting.
It takes 30 days, to see the full effects. And yeah.
Does your body just keep going?
So as I understand it, the fat cells have been frozen, so they're dead. And then your body just processes them out, in your pee. I know, crazy.
Have you been peeing differently?
No. I haven't noticed any peeing differently.
Same old pee.
And my legs still look pretty Persian. So, although I will say I don't miss meetings ever. And that was the funniest way to cancel a meeting on somebody or be like, I'm going to be late. I was like, it's a lot of, I'm sorry, I can't make this meeting. I'm literally freezing my ass off.
And she sent me a picture. There was a reference for this. I'm just saying.
It was funny. I'm like, you know what? You do what you got to do.
Well, you get to freeze your ass off when you work your ass off, which leads us into this episode about women's health, all things food and fitness, and how do we stay fit with our busy lifestyle? Because I know so many women are interested in this topic.
I couldn't agree more. And then, what are we hearing that's working? What's working? What's not working? What are you doing? What have you tried? Those kinds of things. It's just, there's so much out there. What do you do?
So what has been your biggest health hack lately that you are absolutely in love with?
Health has been such a big journey for me. I know it has been for you too, and we have so much we can share. I, for the previous 10 years-ish, did my macros. So I knew what my macros were. I ate my macros. Yeah, I cheated every once in a while, but in general, I was pretty strict on myself for 10 years. And the last year, I've been on this feminine journey of, hey, can I listen to my body? And if I listen to my body, can I, still attain the same results? I very well know how to get what I want with macros because it's science-based, right? So you just eat these certain things and you're good. I went to Hawaii last year for a month with my kiddos and did not count one macro and just did everything that felt nice, like hiking every day, like hardcore hiking. My son kicked my ass at this. I'm like, oh, wait, mom's coming. Old lady. I'm getting there. 4,000 feet of elevation, whatever.
Yeah, this ain't Runyon Canyon, ladies and gentlemen.
There is a big difference between 13 and 36, let me tell you. That being said, I think I have been on this journey of listening to my body, and really I'm working on that with food now. Can I not count my macros and listen to what my body's asking for and provide that? And the funniest thing is my body has never told me it needed a Snickers. It's like, damn it, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. It has said chocolate, though. I do have my dark chocolate. I do like wine sometimes. I think it's learning at whatever point you can to listen.
That's a big one. I wrote a book about macros.
Yeah.
So literally all of my foundation for what I taught in my fitness company and what's in my book was macros.
Based, yeah.
But
you don't count macros anymore, huh?
I don't count macros. I have not counted a single macro in 4 or 5 years since I've stopped competing. And I've never looked back. And I used to laugh at intuitive eating experts. Like I didn't laugh at them in their face. I was like, oh, come on. Like, give me a break. I'm intuitively going to know what I need.
Do you have a beta with them?
I have an abida with them.
Yeah.
A kind of, I guess. So if you don't know what abida is, you're going to have to watch all of the podcast episodes and figure out exactly where that one is.
Really, really good word.
It's a really good one. So I didn't have an abida.
Google.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a beef with them because I hadn't been there yet, so I was judging how people were approaching it. And also, I didn't necessarily love the lifestyle that those people lived that preached it or how they visually looked. So visual appeal is very important to me.
Yeah, and that's different for each person.
Right. And I was like, well, intuitive eating, can you really look great and feel great and eat intuitively? That was like my friction point. And it took me a couple of years to really go, oh my gosh, my body actually knows what I need. And that journey began with when I stopped counting macros. And I did plant medicine, actually. Ayahuasca was my gateway to have a different relationship with plants and have a different relationship with food altogether. Because prior to ingesting a plant that literally sent you to another planet, I never really kind of fully got the power of plants. Maybe it's embarrassing, but that's my truth. I always treated food as fuel. I always treated food as means to an end. And my journey with food has been up and down. I had serious bulimia issues. I've been open about that. Through competing, I had serious control issues because that's how I was controlling my life. And through food, I had, that's how it got disordered to begin with. Food became an enemy. And a lot of that I healed with macros, but my next level of healing really came from embracing plants and micronutrients and supplementation and really being in tune to what my body was asking me. So I think plant medicine was my gateway to really understand that plants are not dumb.
Plants are very smart people.
And
veggies.
Plants are very smart people. Those tomatoes, they be looking smart. It's an Ivy League degree of tomato school over there. I don't know where that came from. But speaking of tomatoes, if you haven't read Plant Paradox, Dr. Gundry, he wrote an incredible book. He's a cardiologist about the power of plants and how not all plants are meant to be eaten and how certain plants release lectins and why not to eat tomatoes. And I don't eat tomatoes anymore. I never really liked them, but now I really don't eat them unless they're cooked in a sauce or something like that because they're not meant to be eaten.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Like there is different things that you don't even know it because people have been eating them for centuries or however long they have been. And it just gets passed down to you and you don't really even know what you're putting in your body. I think macros for me was kind of like you. It was a safety net. I felt like I understood it. I felt like it was something that I could control. And then I understood that I could create the results that I wanted with it. So I don't think doing macros is a bad thing. I think it gave me a lot of peace for a decade. And I am very appreciative of what I was able to maintain with that. How do you feel? You feel the same?
I think macros are a great thing. And you're hitting the nail on the head as somebody who's practiced macro living lifestyle. I think if you don't know what foods work for you, if you're just coming into a journey where you want to look great and feel great, and if you looked on Alicia's Instagram, you know she looks fire.
You're so sweet.
like fire. Your dedication to the gym is extraordinary to me.
Oh.
And you motivate me and inspire me to be more on top of my game. Girl, got your game figured out.
Some of the game. Not all of the game.
She's in incredible shape.
Game called life.
She's in incredible shape. And I believe if you want to get in shape and you have a particular look that you're going for, you will not get there with intuitive eating. I will give you a left and a right kidney for this statement. You will not arrive at that destination without counting your macros.
Yeah, if you're looking to bodybuild or compete.
No, not
Is that
even.
what you're
I'm
saying?
talking about if you are looking to lose a significant amount of weight, you're looking to tone and shape. You're not going to get there without macros.
Oh, get there without it. I mean, I would hope that you could do it through intuitive eating. I don't know that you can.
I don't think you can do it.
Really? So do you
I think you can maintain with intuitive eating.
Oh, that's very, very intriguing. Maintain it. I mean, I agree that building muscle for me is very different than building muscle for Charles. So Charles and I have been doing the macro thing since we met. I was already on my health journey, and I didn't like how when I would go to the gym, this is so ungrateful sounding as I'm saying the story back, but I didn't like how when I would work out, I would quickly bulk up, like my muscles instantaneously. I mean, I haven't worked out in 8
Look at
years.
those guns, baby.
I don't know how I haven't, I don't know. It just is. So my body does that.
Boo-hoo.
I
She's
know.
got them guns.
But the ass also grows in the same proportion. But I didn't want to bulk up. I wasn't going to the gym for that. I was going to the gym as a way of stress relief. And then also I wanted to be healthy, but my body had that response to it. So figuring out and understanding my macros allowed me to be able to create the form that I found to be beautiful. And then I took that on to competing, etc. But I think that watching the difference between the way that my body grows muscle and the way that Charles does, you're right. I have to eat a lot more protein if I want to put on muscle, not fat. And the only real way for me to do that in a manner that I could make sure it turned out the way I wanted was by counting those macros. And I think that a lot of times when I try to eat intuitively, I care less for all of that protein. It's not that I don't want any of it, but I'm really more naturally hitting around a 60 to 70 grams a day. Whereas when I'm weightlifting, I'm trying to eat over 100. So I don't know. Can you do it?
I think you can maintain the amount of mass that you have with eating less protein. And I've now put on muscle being a figure competitor, dropping down to bikini and really having to get rid of muscle. Like my legs were a size 31 jeans, like true 31 size jeans when, sizes were true 6 years ago. So, and now I'm a size 25. So I really had to shave off some inches off my legs from doing some really heavy squats.
Yeah.
And I believe that's done with macros as well.
Yeah.
Right. If you want to manipulate your body to look at a certain shape, to be a certain shape, then you need your macros. If you're eating healthier, better, then intuitive eating and not so much protein perhaps could be a really good path.
It's such a science project. I mean, that really is. Your body's so cool. It's amazing that it ingests these things, takes vitamins and nutrients out of it, and then produces what we see. It's pretty cool.
What I think is really crazy to me, how many women I know that they don't work out for a long time and then they go all in and they're like, I'm going to do Orange Theory for 30 days and I'm going to eat clean. And then it's on the wagon, off the wagon, on the wagon, off the wagon. And I think what we really don't consider in that equation is cortisol.
Amen. Because it wasn't a big thing that was known about. It was just like, just do the work, just a hustle culture kind of in workout.
So, and with having that extra cortisol in your system, you're actually stressing out your body so much more. And so many women are like, well, my husband's losing weight, but I'm not losing weight. Or I've been working out so hard and I'm not losing anything. It's because if you're already stressed out, you're an entrepreneur, you have kids, you have all this stuff going on, cortisol management doesn't necessarily mean that you need to do hard workouts for 30 days straight and eat paleo nothingness.
Yeah. It's so cool to understand that our bodies are so different than men's, and they're actually built to maintain and retain food longer than men's. So we pick up the maximum amount of nutrients from everything that we eat, whereas men flush quicker. So, I mean, I can think of all sorts of reasons, and I've read quite a few of them in Inflow for that. But if we're having to sustain life and, make sure that the next generation arrives safely, our bodies have to have the ability to do that. So that brings into play cortisol. Like you said, when you stress yourself out like that, your body's gonna retain. That's why your husband's losing and you're not. And y'all could be eating the same thing. But if you're so stressed, we just have a different response to that than our male counterparts.
Steady Freddy wins the race.
Steady, free to rinse away. Like, let's come.
Can you say that 10 times faster?
I tried to change your name because we're not talking about Freddie. We're talking about Frida. And then I got tongue twisted.
Steady, Frida.
God, see, you can't say it. You say it 10 times. Steady, Frida. That was horrible. Sorry, guys. I hope we need like a little button that says turn your volume down when we do stupid shit like that. Like maybe we could blast that little sound in right before.
I feel like that's just part of the thing that you're getting on this podcast. You're getting it, honey.
You're getting the real.
You're getting the real. You're getting that good.
True. Sometimes those don't go together, but yeah.
So my relationship to workouts had to shift because I was the crushing it at the gym twice a day, sometimes for hours training. I had to because it was my career, it was my job, it's what I did. And it really shifted a lot for me when I was like, okay, I have to lose all this muscle.
That is such a unique thing to have to do. That's not common, I mean, unless you're doing your sport and did exactly what you did.
And I also have to build a good relationship to working out that isn't crushing myself at the gym every single day. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, what can I do now that I can be really committed to? And I started doing yoga. I was like, okay, I can commit to once a week yoga. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I can commit to twice a week yoga. Mm-hmm. And that's the journey that I've been on, which is crazy for me to think about. If you told me that I was going to be a yogi who goes to the gym twice a week now, like I never thought that I was going to arrive there. And the biggest takeaway for everybody listening is find what works for you. Mm-hmm. There's a new bestseller every week on new diet, new food, Whole30, new supplement. This is a science project. Mm-hmm. I think you absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it, but thank you.
That's how I feel about it, she goes. Yeah. What's the latest health breakthrough that you've read about or tried that you loved?
That's a really good question. I feel like I need to think about that one because I am not a fad person. I am not at all. So what's going on?
Says the woman who froze her fat.
That's not a fad. That's been around for like 12 years.
It's like, this is a scientific.
Oh, yeah. I learned about being a trailblazer on letting people try shit out on you. Don't do that. So wait until it's proven that it works.
Okay, I need to hear this story.
Oh, I'm just saying in general. Like, just don't let people try shit out on you. Like, oh, yeah. Oh, okay, I can give it to you. I'm like, what was it that I learned that on? So Cellulite, I don't know if every woman has it or not, but I sure as fuck do. And I'm still not sure if it's the Persian part or the white part. But that is one thing that I was just, it irked me because no matter how hard I tried in the gym, no matter how much I ate right and did the things that I was supposed to do, I still had cellulite. So I went in and this doctor that got recommended to me was like, oh yeah, there's this new procedure. They basically just slit a little hole in your skin and then laser your tendons that attach your like top or underneath layer of skin to the rest of your body, whatever. That's what creates cellulite, is when the fat squishes around those, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so we just laser those and then they're gone. And then you can't have cellulite because the skin's not being tugged and pulled, right?
Okay, I'm here.
You didn't fucking tell me that those never grow back. Yeah, you don't laser those. Like, those are what keeps your skin taut as well. And I asked him about it. I was like, I don't know if that sounds like, is that a good thing to do? Because it kind of, that was my intuition that I wasn't listening to, that told me, not a good idea. Anyway, it's kind of comical. So don't be the trailblazer on plastic surgery is my recommendation. Wait until you've seen it a couple decades. Is it really working? That kind of thing.
But you overall have had some serious health stuff with surgeries, I feel like.
Yeah. Last time I counted, there were like 17. It's like, how have I had 17 surgeries?
Wait, what? 17?
17.
17 surgeries doing what?
Trying to survive. Like literally after I had my son, it was surgery after surgery after surgery. I mean, I could take you down the laundry list, but I don't know if you want to hear that.
17 surgeries?
Yeah. I had a couple before I had my children, actually. My nose got broken. I had a hernia, like weird shit. But mostly besides those, I was perfectly healthy. My parents did a great job as far as genes go.
So what's your relationship with the healthcare system now?
I have absolutely zero trust there because I feel like it's about just making money. Like, at 29, I was told I needed to get my uterus taken out. Like full blown everything, just take it all out because you're having such a problem down there. Like everything is so painful, so excruciatingly painful. Come to find out, thank God I had my husband who was like, you're not doing that. You're 29. You can't do that. Thank God he was there to stop me, because you want to know what was actually making me sick and making me barely able to walk after my period? Oh, it was this little birth control Essure thing that I had gotten put in. So it wasn't that I was aging. It wasn't that I needed to take my uterus out. I just needed to get this little product that I had stuck in me that was made out of nickel, which, 70% of the population is allergic to, highly allergic to. I'd had it in my body for 10 years and it was basically making my entire reproductive system freak out.
That is
constantly
wild.
Yeah.
I got off birth control 10 years ago, I think.
Wow.
Because I thought to myself, okay, I behave one way when I'm off birth control, and I'm a completely different human when you start messing with my hormones.
Shocking.
And
right?
the final straw was I had this really fancy boyfriend, and he took me on a cruise to Europe. It was lovely, super fun. Greece, Italy. I recommend it. And the entire time, I was a crazy person. I remember standing on the balcony of the cruise ship, looking out into the blue sea and thinking, what would happen if I jumped? And the moment that happened, I was like, oh, I'm going into the bathroom and I'm taking out the ring birth control that they have. And I was like, I know for a fact this is from that, because I had a vivid vision of me jumping into the ocean.
I mean, you probably would have just saw some pretty shit down there. So that would have been okay, but don't do it.
This is like a cruise ship. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like
shit. There's a lot of, like a big cruise ship, not like the...
I'm not talking about a tiny little yacht, honey.
Don't jump off.
This is a dramatic story. This is the reaction I was expecting. I mean, she was kind of calm. I was like, okay.
No, because you know what I envisioned? I'm sorry. This is.
You imagine me on a yacht looking all fire. You're
not
like,
a yacht, but have you seen those really cool ships that are they're only one level and they're all glass, and basically you can do a cruise like you just talked about on it. It's like $30,000, 5 days.
Alicia's fantasy cruise.
So I'm like, okay, so you jump 10 feet, you'll just be in the water snorkeling for a minute, and you'll.
No, I'm talking about old people cruise ship.
Shit, old people cruise ships that die when you hit the water because they're. Okay.
Zachary, honey.
Sorry about that. I'm hungry.
Zachary.
Brain's not working. Yeah.
So,
thanks for taking out your little ring.
What was it? NuvaRing?
That shit does not. Yeah, I agree with you because I tried that too.
Yeah, it was not great. And it just made no sense to me that I would have to put in a bunch of hormones into my body to regulate my body. And I knew I wasn't feeling good. I realized that this is now a tool that moved women a generation forward on having reproductive rights. I love that. I think that's great. We 100% needed that. But I also don't think how we're going about it is actually the healthiest way for a woman.
I don't think it's healthy at all. I mean, there's literally been studies where they've tracked who women are attracted to on and off birth control. It's completely different. And then when you get off birth control, you're not even attracted to the dude you're with, because what you were looking for when you were on birth control, when you're on birth control, it adjusts your hormones so that you're looking for someone who's sweet and kind and I'm going to take care of you like that, because your body thinks it's pregnant. So it's just looking for comfort. Then you get off birth control and you're like, what kind of wimp ass man am I married to? Because what you really wanted was an alpha male. But your hormones were so messed up, you didn't even know what you wanted to be with. So it's crazy to hear me think that, some man or woman made product could help our bodies regulate better. It's like, no, usually when you're like 16 to 25, you're healthy as you're ever going to be. Your body can regulate itself just fine. I mean, there are there's diseases that pop up and things like that. But just for normal women, my body would have been much better if I would have left that shit out of it.
If I was following the traditional medical advice, I think it would be on I think we counted, I would be on 6 medications right now.
Oh, I'm sure you would.
Birth control is one of them.
Of course.
And then when I had my panic attack, clearly they prescribed me some serious, anxiety medicine.
You probably are ADHD.
Oh, definitely ADHD. So we now have Adderall. We now have, what's that stuff they prescribe you for anxiety?
I don't know.
Xanax. And probably something for depression because I had my ups and downs, my sadness.
Wait a minute. It just sounds like all of your symptoms are telling me you're a woman. I'm like,
Exactly.
it sounds a lot like you're a woman.
And then I had hypothyroidism, which I tossed the medication for that. So we're now like 5 things, right? So,
And you're 32.
and I'm 32 years old. And by the way, there would never be a plan for how I'm getting off those meds.
No, you just stay on them forever, dude.
And I'm not saying that all medication is bad. I'm just saying that our emotions don't need to be medicated.
I think that there are cases where there's things that we don't understand, imbalances that we can't fix. But in general, my first step whenever I feel imbalanced, because I have mood swings too, don't we all? I know I used to get so frustrated by it because I would wake up next to a man who woke up the same every day. And I was frustrated that I wasn't the same every day, and frustrated that he got to be the same every day, and frustrated that I didn't know who I was waking up to. But then when I actually started to pay attention, I saw the pattern. And it follows my cycle. So men are on a 24-hour cycle. This is a well-known fact, and that's how we've built our lives, to operate on that 24-hour cycle. And women are also on a 24-hour cycle, but a 28-ish day one as well. And we aren't taught anything more than, you'll probably PMS before your period, and it should be painful. And then when you have your period, that should also be painful. And then maybe you'll get a week or 2 of your life every month. That's great, okay? And when you're going through all of that shit, just try to be nice and not PMS too hard. Have some chocolate or wine or something. And it's not only is it not fair that we don't get taught these things, it's an injustice to our counterparts, our husbands. We don't get taught it. So how could we even share with them, how amazing this whole process can really be? So that's a journey that I am just loving right now, figuring out all the patterns and how does my body really work. And the more that I give my body what I need, funny how PMS just disappears. Funny how I had 9-day periods my entire, adult life, even after I had my uterus fried, basically, where they laser it and you're not supposed to have a period anymore. No, I still had them. But once I got my hormones right, and once I started taking care of myself in a cycle that I understood, funny how my periods turned into 3-day periods. Like mouth gaping. I couldn't believe it. Like, what? This is not me. It's like, I feel so much better.
That makes a lot of sense to me. I would like to backtrack on my statement. We don't need to medicate our emotions. There's certainly emotions that need to, like, when you feel like you really need help and it all feels very overwhelming, I 100% understand if that is your decision.
Yeah.
And, having been trauma informed, I totally understand that what you're going through. And that is not something that, maybe it's for an entire lifetime, but if that's a phase that you're going through, have a plan for when you're getting off that medication, because I have seen some serious side effects that have then affected the women in my life in a very negative way. So know what's best for you, and don't take what I just said as a blanket advice. I'm just going to correct myself there. And I'm going to piggyback off of what you said when it comes to living around, not around our cycle, but in awareness of our cycle. And I believe that's going to help so many women solve so many of their internal mysteries, knowing that when you start living around your cycle, you start to get helpful information. For example, PMS stands for please make space. So when you are in pain, when you need to go home and get in a blanket and just hold yourself there, do know what you need at that time to take care of you. I'm not saying we don't all have the luxury of taking the 5 days off before PMS, but do mark it on your calendar that you're about to bite someone's head off.
Yeah.
Right?
I also think that the more balanced your hormones are and the more that you understand this and you give your body what it needs at those specific points, I saw my PMS completely change too.
So when I work a lot, leading up to this recording, this is a major production. I also have a business that I run. I have clients. I have my EP that's coming out. So there's just have been a lot of overlapping projects. This is one of the first times my PMS has been as bad as pretty bad in the last 5 years, to the point where I was like, oh, I need a heating pad. I need all these different things. I never take painkillers. I had to take Tylenol. I was like, okay, I really need to take really good care of myself in between the cycle. Right? And what's my sauna? What's my massage? So as I'm upping and ramping up my performance, I'm ramping up my self-care and I'm ramping up my body, because she's the one who's going to take me across the finish line.
Yeah, if you're not getting across it without her. So you better take care of her. I agree.
And then so many women go, well, I'm on fire. You know, like, why can't I just be on fire all the time? There's a week out of the month where I'm just like rocking it. And I'm like, of course you are. And that is your time to schedule production. That is your time to schedule new projects. That is your time to schedule execution of certain things. I plan photo shoots, production, video shoots as much as I possibly can around that evaluation season. Yeah. Guys, very Russian, cannot say correct.
It's totally fine.
Say it for me.
Ovulation.
Ovulation.
Yes, you got it.
Oh my gosh. It's actually really stuck. It does not come out. So you are going to have a fire week out of your month where you're going to be like, I am rocking it.
I am the shit.
And then the following week, you're going to go into your PMS.
Which to me, it's not even that you're not rocking it. It's the way that your body is trying to remind you that it's time to pull your resources in. So your body is giving you those feelings to remind you of it, not because you want to be a bitch or because whatever. No, your body wants you.
We're talking about PMS?
Yeah, your body wants you to pull in, bring your resources in, give yourself the extra care it needs. And if you were on that like fire that you were talking about, when your body was trying to pull resources in, you would be misaligned and it wouldn't feel right. So that's your body's way of showing you what it needs you to do. Are you listening?
PMS, please make space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've noticed so many female entrepreneurs have challenges around this. Mm-hmm. And I wish more women knew that there are different phases to the cycle, different phases to how we function.
And the phases don't only correspond to getting pregnant. It's 100%. Not all about so that you can be a producer. It's about so you can live your best life, so that you can be able to maximize the gifts that you've been given and understand the different feelings that you're going to go through each month versus thinking you're just crazy because you want to be fire all 4 weeks.
So how do our hormones affect our mental health? How have your hormones affected your mental health?
Yeah, I mean, that's an amazing question. I think that there's been a lot of maybe negative feelings towards my hormones personally, right? Like, why are you doing this to me? Why are you keeping me from doing the things that I want to do? I want to attain, I want to crush, but something is trying to tell me something, right? Inside of me, my body's trying to tell me something. And if I won't listen, it just gets worse. And so that's what I really had to come to. Like, how long am I going to fight myself? I'm supposed to be a team. So if my brain is not willing to slow down so that I can listen to my body and give my body what it needs, then like that's such a disalignment, and that is not team at all. So I just had to bring it back to we're a team and we work together, body, mind, soul, and they all need to be addressed and they all need to be taken care of.
So for me, I noticed that before my mental health is affected, my gut health is affected first. And that was a really big lesson for me, a big signal for me when I had so many gut health issues, and then I had so many cloudy mind issues, and then it led into a much bigger depression, which then led me to take a break and take a sabbatical.
Yeah. And you kind of did that, right? What was your thought process? Did you really think through, okay, this is what I'm going to do and this is how many months I need? Or did you kind of let it feel its way out?
So what started happening with me, and women often ignore these signs. I know girlfriends who ignore these signs, where my stomach started turning on calls. I would be on calls and I would start having clenched, like lower stomach, right? And I was like, what is this? Right. But I had already known that, your nervous system starts with your gut. And I was like, ooh, I think I'm frying my nervous system. Right. And then it led to a cloudy brain where I was starting to get really slow, like really clouded judgment. It would take me in the morning a really long time to get going. And I'm like, something is really not right here. And then my body started signaling to me with my stomach would hurt halfway through the day. Then my head wouldn't work straight. And then when I would be on calls, I started losing my voice. So my body literally was like, I'm turning you off. And that's it. to think of that was at the peak of like, okay, I'm coaching 30, 40 hours a week, plus I'm running my business 20 hours. I have 18 companies that I'm working with, and I have like 400 students in my classes. What am I going to do? Right? Like, I'm just going to drop all this all together. And I set on that for about 2 months until it got really bad. And I was like, okay, like, this is my signal to take a break. My body's like, you're not going in the right direction. Last time she did that is when I needed to stop competing. So I knew better. So how often are you ignoring physical symptoms that are perhaps information from your body telling you that you are disconnected from yourself, you're disconnected from what is good for you, and you're disconnected from where you're going?
Yeah, I think that maybe what I'm seeing women pick up on is, if I listen to myself, I'm a hypochondriac. Like, oh, there's always something wrong with me. There's always something. And so then they brush aside symptoms because they don't want to be perceived as the person that there's always something. There's always some excuse about this or that, because it's not common understanding that here's our cycle and these are the things that we feel in that cycle. So I really think something that could be very helpful, and something that I've done, is just start tracking symptoms. Just start tracking. There's nothing wrong with it. You're not like, oh my God, I'm falling apart because I'm tracking these symptoms. These are just symptoms. And once you can see how they play out month after month, then you can understand what my body might be asking me for with those symptoms. Doesn't mean you're sick. It's just asking for something. So can we answer the call?
Yeah. Listen to yourself. And I've had a mental health journal that way, where I was tracking all of my symptoms. I'm like, today I'm feeling this way. These are my feelings. This is how my body's feeling, because I had to get out of that state. So I was tracking for a while. And you know what really did it? When I was like, okay, I'm taking a break. I'm taking a sabbatical. Never once did my stomach hurt that week. That I was like, okay, I'm going to take a break for a week. And then a week into it, I pick up another call and my stomach again is like, I'm like, all right. She's telling me I really need to take a break. So, and I didn't have a definitive ending. I was very fortunate to be in a position where I didn't need to have a financial plan, right? Like, I had saved some money and made some really good choices there. But I know so many of us can't take a break, but I was really excited because there was so much stuff that came out of that break that it wouldn't have, if I didn't take a break, it would never come out of me.
Yeah, I really have to say, you said something, I know some women can't take a break. I don't believe that. I believe there's everything that we need and we can make it happen if we want to.
I saw you twitch.
Yeah, because I was like, nah.
I said some of us cannot. And Alicia just like...
that's a bullshit answer. Like, not from you, but that's an excuse I hear from women, from people.
That is an excuse.
Yeah, I can't do that. And I'm like, I don't want to hear that shit. I have been a single mom with 2 kids under the age of 3, working 3 jobs, sleeping 2 hours a night. If I wanted to do something, I made it happen. And we can all do that. I'm not saying it's easy or it's hard or it's, the most convenient thing. But if your body is speaking to you, you will listen. You will listen sooner or you will listen later. And my thick head has had to go later quite a few times. So I'm just going to say, if you're hearing these things and you feel like I can't, you can find the way. Somebody can help you find a way. If you can't think of the idea, I would go to the people that you love. Because when I get that, quite often it comes up in me, I have to do these things. And luckily I have someone who loves me, who will literally sit me down and say, none of it matters more than you. So if you won't take care of you, then I'm going to start taking the things off. So I'm lucky enough to have that person that can do that for me. And anyone that loves you, if you ask them to, they can sit there and help you with it.
So many of us know subconsciously that we need to make a change, but we refuse to make that change until something really traumatic and dramatic happens. And then we can justify making all those changes. And I had to make changes in my life. And I was like, okay, well, I could either end up with ulcer, or I can end up being driven to the hospital with this thing again, or I can end up doing this, right? Or I can just slow down and pause because I know where this journey leads.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. I was the ultimate queen of I can't because of I had to get these things done.
No,
I put work ahead of me all the time. So it was like, but I have these families that rely on me. I have this, I have that. I just can't take a break. Not true. It wasn't true.
The painful part of it was letting my team go because they were amazing. I did keep some of them on certain projects. We're still working together. And it was painful to be like, okay, I actually have to take a break and just listen to this divine redirection. And it did feel dark in there for a hot minute, right? I'm like, okay, I'm leaving myself a completely open road. I know that I'm done being the business consultant that I was, like this crazy, like, let's do this and push for this. And I was really curious to see what's going to come out of her, right? And then next thing you know, I'm in a music production school, and I was like, how did I end up here? What's happening? Yeah. So, and you know, my list of adult hobbies just started to get longer and longer and longer. So when I started working again, I was like, oh my God, now I have all of my life stuff, and now I have my business. Now they need to marry each other. That was really interesting. You have a lot of adult hobbies.
I do. I love hobbies.
Alicia is an award-winning ballroom dancer, ladies and gentlemen.
You've gone too far. I
haven't gone too far. She'll just never show you any medals, so I'm here to like be the cheerleader and sweet. to tattletale on you. She loves ballroom dancing.
I do.
You're also the queen of calligraphy. You also love flower arrangements.
I do.
You do a lot of different things for your mental health.
I do.
Tell me how you got into dance specifically. I'm curious.
Yeah. So with dance, I knew that I needed to make an adjustment. I felt like my feminine was being neglected. I'm really good at taking care of my masculine side. I know exactly what it needs, exactly what it wants, and it actually makes me very happy to behave that way. So it happens naturally, whereas operating in my feminine doesn't so much. She got hurt one time and I just put her away. Like, well, if she's not out, she can't get hurt, right? And I've decided that the last few years I'm going to let her out and really figure out what she needs and take care of her. And ballroom dancing was something that I felt would help me move. And to me, movement is very feminine, and it always made me uncomfortable. If you ask me to dance, I'm like, I can't dance. I'm not a dancer. And so I knew that there was something there that I needed to explore. But I also picked a hobby that would expand me, but that I had some comfort in, because I know I'm very physically capable. And so I knew that at least I have that, right? So if I'm feeling uncomfortable, I can at least rely on that. But that's kind of why I picked that hobby.
Dance is incredible because it does really drop you into your feminine really quickly, because you are following the lead. And I feel like if you are a woman who's crushing it all day, every day, we need that place to relax. In our hobbies specifically, because I know a lot of women get burnt out. Even when they pick up hobbies, they end up being the organizer and doing all the things, and that's not a restful place. That's not a restful point.
That hobby comes with a to-do list that you now add to your never-ending to-do list, and then you have to feel guilty about prioritizing that to-do list. Yeah.
Oh, she said the whole thing. Yeah. If that wasn't making your head spin.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that where we go? I don't know. Do you go there when you think about hobbies?
I now think of hobbies differently. Because to me, they were a waste of time.
Okay. Well, that's very intriguing. Like, let's explore.
I know.
What hobby was a waste of time?
All of them were a waste of time. Like, all you had to do was work. And that's how I'm gonna shift in my seat. I think it's because I grew up in Russia and everything had to be perfect and everything had to be work, or it's my trauma from being an immigrant, or it's where I found a lot of my value. Right? Like, I know I'm good at working. I know I'm good at making money. So I'm just going to go do that. I never saw a reason to have hobbies. Right? Like, and then I realized, okay, this is a place where I can turn off. I'm not the boss CEO telling everyone what to do, because we as CEOs, we have to get off that train once in a while. I see the CEOs who only sit in CEO seats and they feel like they're so capable, and they don't pick any other places where they're new or uncomfortable.
They don't like to be uncomfortable.
They don't like to be uncomfortable. And then they're like this one big person doing all these big things. And I'm like, you're talking a big game, but when was the last time you were inadequate at something?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, my dance teacher tells me that a lot. He's like, you're just not good at it. It's okay. And I'm like, I know, I'm just not used to that. Like, because in our line of work, we do the things that we're our 8s, 9s, and 10s at, right?
Right. So when I started doing music as a hobby, I saw it as a way for me to occupy my brain, my racy brain on my sabbatical. But then I saw how me being inadequate at something made me feel more human now that I have clients that aren't as adequate at managing a big creative project. I have so much more compassion now for people who are not masterful at the thing that I explained to them once. And I think I really didn't have that. I really didn't see a value. And that just kind of tells you how our brains work. If you're not doing something, that means you're not seeing the value in it. And until you see the benefit of it, you're not going to stop or stop doing it. So to me, the real benefit I saw from making music was to slow down my brain. But then I started seeing a lot more benefits. It was a place I could turn off. It was a place I could be inadequate and learn a lot more. It's a place I could artistically express myself. And it just became a whole different relationship.
Wow. Is that your only hobby that you are working on right now, or do you have multiples that you like to?
So I danced for almost a year in New York. Shout out to Dance With Me. And I danced salsa.
Nice.
So Alicia and I actually have taken some classes together. It was really fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
And that was when I first were exploring my feminine energy and my operating from my feminine flow. And I needed to have a man lead me. And I don't think it was a hobby. I think it was more of a place for me to learn that I could be led into trust. So it didn't actually stick as a hobby long term because I felt like it was more of a skill that I was acquiring.
Picking up.
Yeah. So it wasn't so much a hobby. But yeah, I would say that music is my only one right now. I also like really picked up gardening. I started really I became a plant mom. Shout out to all my plant mamas out here.
Yeah.
So I became a plant mom, which is really good because it's a place for me, again, to relax and balance out the energy where I am taking care of a growing being. My roses just bloomed, you guys.
Oh, dude, so nice.
I took a plant from, it was a tiny little rose, a tiny little baby rose, and now it's blooming. And that's such a good feeling.
It is. I used to tell everyone that I had a black thumb. I'm like, I don't plant things. I hate dealing with that. Just, please, if you're going to give me flowers that I have to water, let it be an orchid where it's like once a week I have to put an ice cube there, 1 or 3, depending on the size. Yeah, that's what I would tell people. And this year too, I became a plant mom. And I'm going to sound like a lunatic, but I told Charles, I bought these 2 like baby basil plants and put them in these beautiful boxes that he made me. And girl, they're like 2 feet. Basil.
You have to pluck your basil, you know?
Oh, I know. But you know what I do? I go out and water them, and then I have this thing with the way things feel. They're soft. So I rub their leaves in between my fingers, and I'm like, good morning. And Charles caught me doing it once, and I was like, I am psycho. I am rubbing basil leaves and telling them good morning. And he was just like, oh my God. I'm like, I don't know. It makes me happy. And then I always smell my fingers because they smell so delicious. Like basil. I'm like,
I name my plants.
Okay. What are your plants' names? The roses. I just want to know the rose.
Her name is Rose.
Oh, her name
Very
is Rose.
original. I mean, for a creative director, I'm really crushing it. But I have a plant named George and he needs some rubbing. Can you provide some rubbing for George?
Well, first of all, what kind of plant is he before I commit to rubbing?
Big and tall.
Big and tall I like, but pokey or not?
Not pokey.
Okay, I don't like pokey. I like soft and smooth.
Silky smooth. I have gardenias. I've actually revived the entire garden that I had in my complex. There's and you know what was crazy? When I moved into this place that I live in now, I just got a message that I need to move to LA. There's this voice that talks to me. So it just drops in. It was like, you're moving to LA. I was completely against it. I was like, I don't want to live there again. But I got a message. I live in Venice and
you started COVID is what you just told me, because you weren't going to stay in LA where the universe told you to stay. And so then we had to have COVID so that we could shut down New York and you couldn't go home. Yeah, no,
not as linear, but kind of. So I move into this really cute cottage in Venice.
Yes.
And I'm like, you know what, universe? You proved to me that I made the right move. If I made the right move, you send me a new gardener. Like, I want all these plants to look beautiful because they were looking not good. I kid you not, the next day I hear, and I open the door and I'm like, who is this? Saturday morning, this guy is looking at me. He's like, hello, I'm your new gardener.
Get out.
And I looked at him and I was like, hi. Probably looked all psycho. And he goes, yeah, nice to meet you. I was like, nice to meet you. And I was like, what's your name, by the way? He goes, Angel.
That's just too much.
That's just too much.
Damn, Z. So then you were happy you were living in LA now. You're like, okay, I'm supposed to be here.
I got the message that this is where I need to be. And sometimes
It just took an angel gardener.
Yeah,
Nice.
took an angel gardener. All right. Well, on that note,
I'm feeling pretty good about all the plant medicine and plant rubbing and talking. And I need to go check my garden.
please let us know in comments what kind of weird stuff you do to your plants.
Oh my God.
Until next time.
Go feel those leaves.